Welcome back. We're here again at the U.S. Embassy in Iraq, and we're here with Elsie Frelich and Aaron Snipe. Elsie Frelich is the Director of Office of Provincial Affairs at the U.S. Embassy here, and Aaron Snipe is Deputy Spokesman for the U.S. Embassy in Iraq. And we're talking about the transition, and we're talking about progress here in Iraq.
Sure. Just a couple of words on progress. The Iraqis have really made a tremendous amount of progress, and I know the question is often asked by folks back in the United States. We've been here 7 years. What do we have to show for it? And I think the best answer to this question is there is a foundation for a democracy and a foundation for the future here in Iraq, which is so important. And I think oftentimes many Americans take for granted a lot of the foundational things that we have in the United States that we don't think about: judicial systems, monetary systems, educational systems, things that we use every day of our lives but don't necessarily think about as cornerstones of our society. And so one of the things that we have focused on over the past 7 years, both here in Baghdad but also at the PRTs, at the Provincial Reconstruction Teams, is working on rule of law to empower Iraqi judicial systems, to empower the Iraqi Police Department and security forces to respond to the security and law and order needs of their citizens. And so while there is still crime, as there is in any country in the world, what we have is judges and prosecutors and attorneys and Iraqi officials who are responsible because there are laws and there is a constitution. And this is something that in a young democracy is tough to do, but what we're seeing is great progress in that. And Elsie, I know you, in the director or as director of the Office of Provincial Affairs, have worked a lot on rule of law issues. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Thank you, Aaron. Yeah, I'd love to, because I think that's one of the things, the untold stories. When I go out to the PRTs, I often will talk with the military JAG officers who are often involved in working with their counterparts in the Iraqi security forces and with the Iraqi judicial courts and prosecutors and so forth. But also it's fascinating to see we've got assistant U.S. attorneys and defense attorneys and trial attorneys. We've got former police officers. We've got retired people from EMT. We've got forensic scientists. And it's been fascinating to see how all of these people from different walks of life in the United States have come here, and they're working together at the provincial level to build trust among the police and judges. We've been setting up forensic labs around the country so that we can teach about how to gather evidence from a crime scene, how to use that evidence and use it to prosecute cases, and then for the judges to know how to evaluate evidence. So it's something where we're seeing very professional people with lots of education, lots of experience from the United States, from all different walks, from all different aspects of the issue, coming together and really working so closely with Iraqi counterparts to try to see what they can do to encourage law schools to have linkages with other law schools in the United States or with law schools in other parts of the Arab world or in Europe, so that they can have their counterparts and have those linkages that are going to be self-sustaining and enduring, even as we look at how we're moving our transitioning, as we were talking about this, transitioning away from having footprints, having as many people on the ground, having as many military throughout the country, and eventually sort of moving towards having even fewer civilians or civilians focused in more strategic areas rather than dispersed throughout the country.
This is exciting to me because having been here 3 times, I come for short periods of times, but I get these stories. And this is like totally exciting from 2007 when I was here last time. I mean, there's been a lot of progress here.
Bob, let me make one important point from a State Department perspective. Because we have invested so heavily in working on provincial reconstruction teams, what we've also done is establish some great subject matter expertise within the civilian community on how to best work with our military colleagues. You know, in many ways, when we're abroad, we're dealing with foreign cultures, but sometimes the cultures between the Department of State and the Department of Defense are also very different. And so by having diplomats and development professionals working at the brigade level with captains and first sergeants and other people, this really gives both agencies an opportunity to work together, but also understand each other and really focus on the mission. So a lot of the progress that we've made, the handoff is going to be a lot easier because we've been working together for so long. And so our military colleagues can rest assured that as they hand these things over to us, the State Department understands, knows what the mission is, and is really helping define the mission as we go forward.
Isn't also part of the transition, though, working closely with the Iraqis themselves on the government level and local levels?
Well, absolutely, because ultimately, this is Iraq. It's their country, and I think that as we look at how we've been working to think about transitions, the ultimate transition is to how to hand things off. And I think that's where the real capacity building aspects of what we're doing is really beginning to pay off. Is that the work we're doing jointly with, for example, police or judges or attorneys or forensic labs or evidence collection is something that is something that ultimately the client is the Iraqis. And what we're seeing is a situation which the baseline is there. I really compare it to building a house. You have to get the land, and you have to sort of survey the land, and you have to put in the foundation and make sure it's level and it's square, and then you're putting in the plumbing and the electrical lines and the cables, and you're putting up the structure. And we're sort of at that stage where we've got the bedrock is there. And now what we have the opportunity to do in this next year, which is really going to be, I think, a really strategic year in terms of our civilian activities here in Iraq. We'll still have 50,000 military who'll be working very hard on the aid and assist and training capacity. But we'll be able to start putting the siding on the house and the windows in and put the door on and put the roof on, and it's really going to start to look like something. So I think that the progress that we've seen up till now is really going to be something where we're going to see the Iraqis really taking off and being able to apply the things that we've learned, and we're going to be more in a mentoring role than we will be in a teaching or doing role.
No, well, I think Elsie has said it perfectly. The fact that the military is transitioning to an advise and assist is really exactly where we should be right now. We have laid this foundation and helped Iraqis lay the foundation, and it's Iraq's opportunity to step up, to take responsibility for many of the things that we've helped them along with, and this is where we are now.
And we're going to be able to show that in our next segments because we're going to be with 3 of the brigades in different parts of the country. So this is going to be great. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, we've talked a lot about rule of law, but I think I'd really like to talk a little bit more about some of the work we've been doing with women and with widows, and that may be something we need to hold for the next segment.
Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay. So we'll start a new segment here, and so I want to say to everybody watching this on YouTube, on Facebook, and going on many other sites, you can help get the word out on these videos, just like we're doing with Afghanistan, by letting other people know. If you have a YouTube page, you can put these clips on your YouTube page, on your Facebook page. So we're going to be back here in Baghdad, Iraq, with another segment shortly on TalkingWithHeroes.com.